Hey guys, so I guess this angle is not the best. I guess this is the best thing. So, um, we're gonna today's lesson. What we're gonna do is we are going to wrap up on the biology, the higher level stuff. So it is the higher level only lesson. If you're in the standard level, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also send you. I'm gonna add a playlist of videos that will be useful to help you to kind of continue on the previous lesson on the infection against defense against infectious disease. Please watch those. I'm not going to put it on Edpuzzle, but it will help in terms of zooming things faster for the next section because this immunology is not simple. Okay. Um, Also, I noticed that some of you might not have finished the Edpuzzle stuff. If you have not done that yet, make sure you get that done now. I will be sending emails very shortly. As I said before, these puzzles are a way for me to track your understanding as well as how well do you understand the material as well as tracking your progress through during this time. So make sure you get that done now. Higher level students. So if you can look here, I've gone through. Now, here is a link to the Google photo of the nephrons. So if you click on that, you'll see something like this. So we gone through these two. We actually drawn these two diagram in our classes by going through the crash course biology video. Okay, so I just add the link here. You don't have to watch it. You do not need to watch it again. You can if you want to. Now the link to the handout is there. A few things. So first of all, the link of to the handout is here. You also have a hard copy of. You also have a hard copy already because we kind of started this before the break. So now just a few things. I know I would when I was seeing some of you at the chemistry lesson last on Tuesday, some of you told me about you don't have the material. You don't have the material at home because you left at school. Now, there are a lot of files. There are a lot of websites out there with things about the IB materials. So, for example, IB documents. You actually have a lot of books. So this is this is how I get this electronic copy of the study guide. Okay, so you can figure that out yourself. Not endorsing this, but this is extraordinary times. So now let's go over for all of you, I said it before, the study guide is a very good condensed way to go over the material in condensing the material, but it actually remains the core. So if you look at this, the higher level one, you have one page, so it starts from 136 all the way to 3, 4, actually 4 whole pages just dedicated to this lesson. So it is pretty dense, okay? But thankfully, at this point, we actually have completed quite a bit of the stuff. So let's go through the handout because even the handout itself is relatively long. So in this case, let's see what we have done so far because we have actually covered quite a bit of stuff, okay? So we have talked about this section already. Also, nitrous waste. Okay, that's the main role of kidney. We talk about osmoregulators and osmoconformers. Basically, when you're trying to get rid of waste, um, when you try to get rid of nitrous waste, you either want ammonia, urea, or uric acid. Okay, so in this case, it depends on where the animal lives as well as the habitat. That's the method how they do this thing. Um, hmm. Okay, I just realized that you might not be able to see the screen. I don't know. So let me just zoom it in. Hopefully this is better. Hopefully you are able to see this. So I'll just repeat a little bit. So we've gone through this part here, excretion, nitrous waste. We've gone through the osmoregulators and osmoconformers, what they are. We talk about the type of nitrous waste that animals make to get rid of their nitrous waste. So either ammonia, urea, and uric acid. It really depends on the habitat as well as their lifestyle, what they do. So things that don't use that much, don't want to carry that much around spare water. So birds and insects and reptiles, they turn to uric acid. It is highly toxic. Urea, you usually have, it is less toxic, but it is less toxic, but you will need to have it a lot of water with it, and then you can carry a certain amount of water. But here, ammonia is actually very toxic, but it's very soluble. So if you're living in water, that's the way to go. Now, this thing, Malpighian tubules. Okay, so this is actually what insects use, and in the study guide, they actually spent half a page on it, so we should be looking at this. Okay, so in this case, let's see. So basically, you actually have a circulating fluid system. It's almost like the blood system is called hemolymph. Okay, they have hemolymph. So if you look here, midgut is actually where the food is digested, and you have two sections here. So midgut is the stomach. You have these sets of tubules, Malpighian tubules, and with these, while these tubules passing the food and this digested substance, you actually have these tubules branches off and actively uptake the nitrous waste from the water from the hemolymph. So they actually draw that out, and the solutes, water and salt, are reabsorbed into the hemolymph in the hindgut. So it's later on around here. That's where they absorb the nitrous waste, and undigested food exit through the anus. So this is how it works in the insects. Now, one of the reasons why we talk about this, in some ways, like why do we care? Because it is a simplified method of how mammals actually carry out the same function. Because rather than absorbing it directly from this here, it is absorbed through the blood system. And now, this part, we've done this before, and just a reminder, here are the kidneys, here are the ureters that would direct the urine into the bladder. Now, you have the two sets of blood vessels. You have the aorta, you have the vena cava. Now, aorta, by the way, since we're not in school, I will have to say that we're not doing the dissection until we're back. At least we'll see whenever that will be. No one knows. So we humans and mammals also get rid of the waste through the blood system. So in this case, you have blood vessels, you have arteries going into the kidneys, renal artery going to kidney, renal arteries going out. So this is a much expanded drawing of the kidney. You have practiced doing that. We have actually done this before the break. So let's try that again. And also here, what are the different parts of the kidney and what they do? Now, I have said a lot of stuff just now. We have gone through quite a fair amount of the pages so far. Pause here. Pause here. I'm putting this hand up so later on I know where to add the question. So at this point, do you have any questions? Okay. Yeah, at this point, do you have any questions? Okay. So now the Nephron drawing. Okay. We have also gone through the Nephron drawing when gone through the crash course video. It talks about what it does. It is in the medulla and the cortex. Yeah, it is in the medulla area and cortex area. So in this case, right now I'm just scanning through this document. The ultrafiltration and Bowman capsule. This is this section here. I'm looking at this, and we have gone through about half the material. So I'm going to pause a little bit later on to go through that. The proximal convoluted tubules and about selective reabsorption. This part here, we didn't go through as much detail as what we need to do. So in this case, we'll come back to this. We'll spend more time. The loop of Henle. The loop of Henle, when we look through this here, it talks about absorbing water in the descending loop, salt being extracted in the ascending loop. This part here, we actually spent a fair amount of time and focus onto it. So in this case, later on, we'll just skim through that. Last part, this part, we're talking about the collecting duct. Here, they don't really talk much about what happened at the distal convoluted tubules. So probably here there is a certain amount of it that is here, but we're going to skim through this again. But this is about the collecting duct. The crash course video talked about this Adh Antidiuretic Hormone. So we're going to go into a little bit on that part, but I think we have talked about it before. Hydration, overhydration. Not quite. Now, with one class, I spent a little bit more time on it because I think we have technical difficulty on that lesson. So we spent a little bit more time on that one. This one here, this is easy. We can go through this very quickly. So in this case, we actually have done a lot of this stuff already. So let me pause a little bit and see how long this video has been so far.